long night. Couple people pointed out in my comment section in my last video I forgot to say that, and that's sort of my catchphrase, so I'll go ahead and toss another one at you. Long night. Now that phrase actually has, well, a different meaning. According to the latest reports, HBO is going all in, balls deep on a Game of Thrones universe. I can't believe I'm actually making a video on this being a real thing. My last video was covering the deal that went public that George R. Martin had with HBO in creating multiple different series for HBO in a Game of Thrones universe, but it's a reality. In this video, I want to run down some of the ideas, in my opinion, and what the history books say about what some of these prequel series are going to be based on. Now, all of them right now are prequels because I think the number one thing to keep wrapping a secret is a Game of Thrones movie or a Game of Thrones like follow-up season, maybe when George releases Winds or when George releases the final book or just some sort of follow-up to the main series. There's got to be something to that, and that's going to be kept under wraps, and we likely won't hear about it for a while. But in the meantime, between time, please, before we jump into the context of this video, please do me a massive favor and slap a like on it. The like goal is going to be 420. Also, make sure you're subscribed, and then also make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of this video. You can also, if you want to, turn your notifications on, so that way you'll get an alert every single time I drop a video throughout this long night. Now, Warner Brothers, aka HBO Media's parent company, they are no suckers, and they initially planned on having a massive cinematic universe through DC, and they tried, and they are still doing that, although those movies aren't well received. They realized that one of the greatest successes of point blank period, the greatest series of all time, Game of Thrones, is sort of a no-brainer. Titties, dragons, action, suits of armor, titties, dragons, more suits of armors, people getting blown the fuck up. That's what people want to see on screen. Now, when you have that and then have an underlying story that's fucking amazing as Game of Thrones was, then it just makes sense to have this massive universe. Now, I look at it as like DC is sort of the rated R comics and Marvel is sort of the, PG-13, although Marvel is superior in multiple ways in storytelling and character building and all that good shit. It's just, it seems like WB wants to go down that path of like, we'll make adult entertainment and then secondary like entertainment for the younger generation or the younger crowd. I think, I don't know, I'm just ranting at this point, but I think HBO going all in with this Game of Thrones universe, and then we have the Marvel universe and the Star Wars universe, it just makes sense. Now, the way that they're going to develop this world more is actually really easy. They've done it. Martin planned on having a massive universe, so when they're telling his story on screen through Game of Thrones in seasons 1 through 8, a lot of these prequel series have already been referenced by not only everybody's favorite characters, but also in memorable scenes. Like, we've had Stannis talking about Rhaenyra when they're in Dragonstone, which is where Rhaenyra ultimately meets her end, and she's one of the main characters in the new series that's been greenlit for an entire first series, House of the Dragon. And also, you have shit like Duncan Egg being referenced, I think it was in season 2. Then you have Arya naming her wolf Nymeria, who is a famous warrior from the Rhaenyra, and she comes over to Dorne and sort of conquers the land and becomes this legendary warrior princess. That's one of the ideas that they're focusing on, or narrowing it down to one of the ideas of the prequels that are sort of in development at HBO. Now, just as a quick rundown, for those of you unaware, Princess Nymeria of Nisar was a princess of Genovia. No, I'm just kidding. She was a princess of the Rhaenyra. After the Rhoyne, which was conquered by the Valyrian freehold, Nymeria led the Rhaenyra, which was her people, to Dorne, where she took Lord Mors Martell of Sandship as her husband. Now, there's a long history, like European history, which this story is modeled after, that follows years of war and conquest. House Mors Martell established supremacy over Dorne, with Nymeria ruling for well over 20 years as the ruling princess of Dorne. Through Nymeria's rule, a lot of the Dornish who, remember, Aegon couldn't even conquer these motherfuckers. A lot of the Dornish adopted many Rhoynish customs and laws and like ways to do shit that remain in effect to this day. So, for instance, the Dornish will pass on their rulership, if you want to call it that, to whoever's next in line that's the eldest. It doesn't matter if it's male or female, whoever's oldest. Like Nymeria passed her Princess of Dorne title onto her eldest daughter from her first marriage, and not the one with her son, who she had, like, she remarried. Sorry, I should have refreshed myself before telling this in a video, but basically she remarried a few times. She had a marriage or two that was fruitless. They had no kids, but she did ultimately have a son with a Dane. He was a Sword of the Morning. She had a son with him, and she, instead of choosing to have him as the Prince of Dorne and rule over Dorne, she decided to have her youngest daughter, her eldest daughter from her previous marriage take over. And this is something that the Dornish continue today. This was a Rhaenyra or a Rhoynish custom, and that's obviously something that we see in Westeros, as that's going to be a main. Something that is going to be a main, without giving away too much, but I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if you watch my videos. This is my inner monologue that I usually cut out, but if you watch my videos, you're keen on spoilers. Obviously, I'm about to start covering nothing but House of the Dragon filming spoilers, so this is going to be a main theme in this House of the Dragon show. It's like, well, my father made me, this is Rhaenyra's perspective, my father made me Princess of Dragonstone, which makes me next in line for the Iron Throne. My stepmother, Alicent, made her son King Aegon II. She basically usurped and made it in a way that he is like claiming. So then it's going to be greens versus blacks. Super summarizing here, this is going to be a theme that continues on. So I really do think, especially since Nymeria will be like a strong female lead, it just makes sense for HBO to go this route and have Nymeria and the 10,000 ships as sort of like a leading idea or a leading candidate for a prequel series to move from development into actually like being filmed and shit, and they start casting characters. And what's interesting to me is that I think a lot of people, or a lot of the rhetoric rather, that I'm seeing, not necessarily in my comment section, but on Reddit, on Twitter, on the Facebook, in different groups that are like A Song of Ice and Fire oriented, a lot of people are saying that Game of Thrones, when it comes back in one way or another, whether it's in a direct sequel from the main series or one of these new prequel series, that they're going to be too, quote, woke. And I just have to say to that, well, we don't know because it's not out yet. We haven't even gotten peeks at the scripts. Let's just wait and see. There's a way to do it the right way where you can be fully inclusive and not just be like, oh, okay, well, we never had black people on our show before, but now we do, and every single character is of a different race. No, I mean, if that happens and the writing is good, then so fucking be it. There's nothing to complain about. But if they do that and the writing is shitty and it's literally just like, let's shove as many races on screen as possible, fuck the story, well, then that's going to be a problem. And I think everyone online can agree that that's sort of not what no one likes to be pandered to, and with sort of veering the fuck away from that topic because I don't really give that much about it. One of the other prequels that are in development is one of my favorite stories or novella from the A Song of Ice and Fire universe, and that's set at a time frame that's a little bit before the main storyline. So some of the characters that play a role in the main story are alive during this time period. That's, of course, the Dunk and Egg prequel series. I've actually done a live stream where I discussed The Hedge Knight, which is the first novel in the 3 novella that George has written so far about that. We do ultimately know what happens to Egg and Dunk, the tragedy at Summerhall. I think that's when Rhaegar was born, but George has said before that he's going to be writing more novella in that universe. And I honestly think, because George knows that he has a long history of unfulfilled promises, so to speak, to his fans, and to be honest, you read his books, he doesn't owe you shit other than more books. And even then, it's like the entitlement online is fucking ridiculous. The books will be here when they get here. I'm waiting just like the next person. But my whole thing is that he knows that, people have given him this reputation of missing deadlines. He mentions it all the time in his not a blog post. I think he might be like finishing up things that are going to be moving into like potential more spinoffs. I think a good one is Dunk and Egg, because you have that lone wolf and cub dynamic. You have Dunk and Egg sort of traveling all around Westeros. We get to see all different sides of Westeros, parts that we never really got to explore too much on the show, and it mainly focuses on these 2 characters. So it may be something that they can slip in between seasons of House of the Dragon, and maybe the animated season or something that won't necessarily cost too much, but it'll also add to Game of Thrones, add to House of the Dragon, add to Nymeria and the 10,000 ships. It's just a great story all around to just actually see come to a realization. Wow, that was a jumble of words. It would be amazing to see it on fucking screen. Let me know what you all think down below in the comment section. If you think that you're like me and Dunkin' Egg is the one that you're most excited for. I personally think that it's sort of a toss-up between House of the Dragon, which I know is going to be coming out, and they start filming here. I think the official start date is something like April 6th, April 7th, or maybe April 5th, somewhere around the first week of April. But I'm honestly almost equally as excited for this Dunkin' Egg series. You all let me know what you think about that down below in the comment section. And lastly, the two other spinoffs that I'm interested about, I guess it's not really two because I kind of already talked about the animated series. And if you watch my videos and you've been watching for a long time, you know that I'm a massive anime head. So I've been talking about some sort of Game of Thrones animation for years and how that may be the ultimate approach to this universe because you can really kind of cover everything. But is the Sea Snake Voyages, I think is something what they're calling it. And to me, that ultimately sounds like they're trying to make a fan favorite. Basically a character that may die within the first season or two in House of the Dragon, but then we'll get to see more of in this spin-off series that they plan on making him like a fan favorite. The only reason why I say that is because I had mentioned that Corlys Velaryon does play a major role in the House of the Dragon, or the Dance of the Dragons, which is the actual version of this story that George wrote. He does play a major role, but it would be a way to usurp our expectations, book readers, not so much average show watchers, but us book readers. You could usurp our expectations by, yes, casting him as a different race, but then ultimately taking his role and giving it to multiple other characters, right? So you could have this dude being like a major player in all of these different events in the story like he does, but then ultimately killing him off early and having other people fulfill the events and things that he played a role in. That would keep everyone on their toes, and it would also keep things interesting. Give the writers a little bit of room to play along with the main story with, but ultimately keep with the same theme of things. No one wants to see an exact retelling of... okay. Stories as great as George's, you do want to see an exact retelling of on screen, but the mediums just won't translate. Some of the stuff that happens in the books, if you were to visualize that on screen, would seem long and drawn out. A lot of the times you need those quick cuts and you need those sharp edits just to keep people's interest. All right, and I don't know about y'all, but I think that's a good point to wrap this video up. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could please do me those massive favors and slap a like on this video. The like goes 420. Okay, that was a little bit too long. Also, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know about what you thought about my thoughts about this video and my ideas, I guess, on where some of these shows are going to be going. What may happen with some of the direction changes they take for House of the Dragon, and then ultimately, how fucking excited are you that it starts filming in literally a week? And that's like my specialty in making those videos and speculating, and I get a lot of people that send me leaks about what's going on, and we're gonna start being able to piece together the story for the first season. I can't fucking wait. Things are starting to get back to normal. That was long-winded, but yeah, thank you all so much. Long night. Sir Hunt's reviews. I forgot weird noises. Wow.